coming too.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Let's call the meeting to order, please. Today is Tuesday. It's April 27th, and we're here at the maintenance building for our regular meeting. We're going to stand for a moment of silence, followed by the pledge of allegiance. Thank you. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Tammy, would you call the roll, please?
Mayor Cassie.
Here.
Mr. Pollock.
Here.
Mr. Smith.
Here.
Ms. Call.
Here.
Mr. Keith.
Here.
Thank you. All right, we're going to just move on into the agenda, which is citizens' comments, and the same rules for those. Don't see any new faces. It's an agenda item. Please wait until then. If not, the floor is yours. Raise your hand, identify yourself, and get at it. Yes, sir, Rock. That's right. I thought he might be second, but he was first.
Oh, come on.
Oh, come on.
Rock Freeze, Colorado Drive. Hey, I just want to say, all the palm trees and everything along that piece, what a difference that makes. I mean, just walking through there every day, looking at that, how it's coming along, I mean, it's like unbelievable. And driving in, you drive in, it's like coming into another town. That's how good that looks.
Thank you.
But one question, I mean, I'm sure they're just about done, is what are they going to put on that stand to keep, when it rains, like we get, the 3-4 inches of rain, we get the gullies washing through there? Is there something that's going to be in there to keep that from happening? You're shaking your head no. And
Yes.
Well, I'm
There's about 20 foot of grass that's supposed
going
to
to go?
stabilize.
Oh, okay, okay, cool. But that just looks so
soddy grass.
Solid grass, yes.
Okay.
The truck's up there now.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
See there, you got to come to these meetings and ask people to know things.
Look at that. Ask him, and it's already happened.
Thank you.
Is that true?
Well, I was saying no, boy, who said yes, and walked on that loud back. That didn't slide by. Yes, ma'am.
He's answered my question. It was about the sod. I was wondering where it was going.
There you go. Any other citizens' comments? All right. Moving on. Do we have a financial? Ms. Debbie on the phone?
Miss Debbie is not on the phone. She's dealing with family type things, but she did give me a report. So bank reconciliation, she's finished June and she's into July. She's working on the 2022 documents, preparing for the fiscal year budget. She is preparing fiscal year 2020 for review to get it for the audit committee. So she's working on that. She's making some adjustments that were necessary to submit to the administrator for approval. So that's the 2020 changes that she's got to make. And she's creating some internal controls that were required from the audit. There was listed about 8 items that we have to do, and those are the things that she's doing. It's basically some guidelines for Tammy and for Mary and for myself to follow to make sure that there's 2 sets of eyes doing almost everything. And then the other comments about her mom.
Okay. All right. Do you know, or have you discussed in dealing with her when that SRF loan pays off for water sewer? It's got to be close.
Oh, it's paid. About a month or 2 ago, the bank asked, do you guys just want to make the final payment now as opposed to waiting for 1 more month? And part of our problem with SRF was timing, but it's paid off.
It's paid off.
Yes, sir. We actually got the letter in the mail.
We should have had a celebration.
I think you signed a check being used, so I knew about it.
I saw that, but I thought it was just our payment.
Yeah, it was our final payment.
Right.
Final payment.
Yes, sir.
Well, I'll celebrate. Okay, good, awesome. All right,
Sandy is over at the EOC. They're doing some training on storm preparedness, so it's
Okay.
annually. So he's over there. What he did want me to tell you is that the pole barn has the roof on it, And
That's all
now
right.
all we need is the grading around it and then the slab being poured. So we're close to having it done.
Great. Marty, what you got?
Nothing major today, sir. Been busy on the weekends, lots of traffic, lots of people, but we've been keeping them together and keeping us straight.
We have been busy. The town, a lot of activity in our little city is sort of refreshing to see some of that.
Yes, sir.
So, all right, no major incidents then.
No, sir.
Great. Any questions? Thank you, Bart. Gina?
We've issued 18 new residential building permits since March. No new commercial. That brings us to 204 since the storm, 204 residential and 8 commercial. We're receiving residential plans daily, so it's definitely picked back up since spring break. The Gulfview Hotel submitted for building permit application last week, so that's done.
Right.
About all I got.
You and Chuck be good friends.
Yes, sir.
Come back with me.
That's great. That's great news. 200 residential, 8 commercial. Awesome. Question for building? All right. Kathy?
Yes, sir. As we speak, over at 310 Hatley, it's being demoed. The RV's been moved out. It was given away. It wasn't sold. And so that house is coming down, and they're going to clean a lot of it there. And the other one is 2704 Highway 98 Beach Scent Properties. Him and I emailed back and forth numerous times last week, and he's finally agreed he's going to demo that property. And I gave him the demo list, and he's going to contact to get that property all cleared up. And that's the ones we got so far.
Questions about code? Yes, sir.
Were you working on getting a list together or some of the mobile homes that need to be demoed, like the down the street from me, the one welcome center, and 2 lots from there down is the boat that's been sitting there for 2 years, and then down the other way is the other mobile home that's
I don't
sitting
know
sideways.
The one that owns the it's the address is the same, so I don't know who that belongs to or who it is. Or I don't know anything about that one. I can't get in touch with them. If you know who they are or where they live,
Remind me.
Are they being fined every day? I mean, like $100 a day, $1,000 a day until you can just take the property over and sell it? And
We got to go through the special master process. And I know, I can see the look on you. I understand. I think we all feel that way. But we are. Now, there was at the last meeting, Kathy, we discussed that you were going to give us those where you had done, I guess you'd say you reached your ropes in with, and whether or not we were going to address the city tearing them down. Remember we talked about that at the last meeting? And you were going to give us a list of those properties where you like had no there's just nothing, just dead in the water.
yes, sir. I do not have that list today.
Okay. All right.
Because it'll be revised.
And that was where we were going to then say, okay, what are we going to do? And how much it's going to cost and all that kind of stuff. So, can we make that a priority?
Yes, sir.
So that we can look at those and decide how we want to deal with that. Isn't that right? I mean, Nick, we have that right. I mean, if she's done all the paperwork, I know we keep talking about this, but I know she's done the procedure, I guess, and we don't have it, and it's just no contact for 2 years now.
The trailer in the house that we've gone through.
We can go in there and tear them back.
Yeah, we have, I believe, 2 properties already that would meet that description. Others can get to that point. I mean, there's a certain amount of process, but overall, the important thing is to know, as a city,
Yeah,
do you think you have the resources and you intend to tear it down yourself?
I understand.
So that's a useful.
Well, I think our discussion stemmed around if we don't take something action, they're going to sit there another 2 years. I mean, there's some of us here that don't think we're just ever going to be from.
Okay. And fines don't necessarily clean.
Fines doesn't help. So why don't we look at that, Kathy, and give us a location and name, and so we can decide how we want to deal with it.
Yeah, it'd be useful for you to know if it's the total cost of something that you might be able to afford versus just completely
Well, Jerry's gonna help us out.
Me and Rocco.
Yeah. Nick, let me ask you a question. Isn't there, legally, can't you fine them X amount a day until you fine them so much that you can own their property and just put a lien against their property and sell it to get your money back to clean this up?
Our process is a little different than that. So the fines on some of these properties are theoretically already accruing, even if the special master has not reviewed the file. They just don't become effective and binding until the special master's been involved. But I believe our maximum number of days fine in one case is 30 days. There's law where if you fine them so much that you eventually are taking their property, that's frowned upon by judges. So we capped it at 30 days, but that can be pretty substantial. I mean, a lot of our fines are $100, $200 a day, depending on what the issue is. So it does add up.
So if you fine somebody, say it took 20 grand to clean that trailer up. So if you fine them up to 20 grand, does that lien go on that property? That eventually, if they sell that property, you do anything with it, that's a lien that has to be paid back to the city?
That's
But the
correct.
city spent the money to clean that up?
Well, those are two different issues. The fine, yes, you can lien the property for the fines. I don't expect we'll have a $20,000 fine, but whatever the amount is. And then also, if the city did the work itself, if it did demolition and cleanup, yes, the city can recoup that from its property owner, not just a lien. In that case, you could actually do your special assessment process, which will normally recoup the money quicker than a lien would. If you file a lien on a property and the property doesn't sell for another 30 years, you might not see any of that money anytime soon. When you use the special assessment process, you should begin getting some of that money recouped soon.
Well, also, my thought process is this: in this little town, it doesn't matter what happens; it spreads.
It's weird.
I honestly think if we do some of these, that it may say, "Hey, they're going to leave my property." Now, that may not. We don't want that to be what is required, but it is pretty obvious. Some property owners simply aren't going to respond. So
We gotta get started.
we got to get started. There you go. Hardest part start. So, Kathy, give us that, and so that we can take some official action. That does need to be properly discussed, recorded, and all of that, Nick, right? I mean, we don't need to just say, okay, and at the meeting, the council should take official action to make a decision about.
Really, your role would be thinking through the budgetary side of things.
Right.
And then each individual property, each problem property is still going to go through the code enforcement process. It's just, you'll have kind of different stated goals at the end. If you're not just looking at fines, you want the special master to know that the city is willing and able to do the demo and the cleanup itself and build that into the orders.
But if we don't hear from anyone, I just don't want, like next week, in our next meeting, if we have 3 properties on the list and we haven't heard from them, period.
Right.
Can we act, can we say, go get bids to start tearing that down?
The way our process works, the property owner doesn't have to participate to be eventually held in violation by a special master. And we do have in our process that the special master, even if there's not a hearing, because there wouldn't necessarily be a hearing if the other party's not participating, doesn't request a hearing. We do have it in our process that the special master still prepares the order, flips through the file, makes sure there's nothing missing, and prepares the order that lays out.
So we're weeks away then. Even if we have 3 properties, we still have a process to go through this beyond what Kathy does.
That's correct, but as far as making progress during those weeks, you can begin first figuring out how expensive might this be, whether it's, what are your high priority properties? Do you have 3 or 4? Do you have 30 or 40? And figure out what that might cost and figure out some kind of contract mechanism for how you're going to get those demolished, who's going to do it, how they're going to be paid, because we may need to go out for bid, or we may have a contract you want to rely on. We already have some options some of those choices will depend on how many properties and how much cost is involved here, because you may get different decisions as far as relying on an old contract or using a new contract, depending on what's involved.
Bring us a list.
How close are we to getting the lawyer in?
So I've got 3. As of Friday afternoon, I got the 3rd, and I wanted to have 3 for you because one of them I'm not sure if we're going to be in a position to accept. I think we'll be able to address this next meeting.
Well, you know, 2 of these we talked about that already been through a special master. The Welcome Center
Yeah.
and Kathy, 3 of them. So
I start.
we
Well, let's start.
we have much
Let's
other.
start.
I'm like you, and then I'm like Rock, and I feel like Rock does. He didn't tell me what I wanted to hear. So we got to wait again. So, but Nick, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Would it be feasible, or if the city, I'd say city, if we went, especially the 3 houses, if we went ahead and got a, Nick, I'm talking, I mean, I don't know, you don't know any of those already, bids or what it would cost, or an idea of what it would cost to tear these 3 houses down, that way we could go ahead and have it the next meeting, we'd say, well, is that all right, or is that something we should wait on, or?
It's fine to do that, but as far as actually proceeding to do the tear down, we need to be at the right step in the special master process. The 2 that you mentioned that were completed already, I haven't seen the written orders, but I assume that they have in them that if the property owner doesn't comply, that the city has the option to do the work itself. I mean, that's normal. I just haven't seen those 2 orders.
I think we should. I think Rob take the 3 I mean, at least
We got to know what we're
send out there and find out what kind of money we're talking about.
We'll do.
Mayor, I believe we have a continuing contract with KK Storm to take down personal property. If you'd like, I can give them a call and ask them to give us a price for each one of those 3 locations.
I agree with you, Margaret, too. I think that we could, I don't know if we can, but I think there's not be a lot of other people that do it cheap.
If there's others, then we have to put it out to bid, is the only difference.
I understand.
And depending on
And
how
that- and
much
since
you
we
spend,
pay it
you have
for it.
different levels of bidding around it. If you're just doing one house, you can do your bidding a little simpler than if you're doing several, and it's going to add up to a few $100,000.
We know we ain't gonna have that much. Anyway, let's start. Let's get started.
All right, we're gonna get the list next week for next meeting, and we're going to, I mean, what's involved to put a bid out? I mean, that can't be that big a deal. I mean, we don't have to accept it. I just wanna get,
Oh, no.
I want the ball to start rolling the right way. So, what's involved to do that, Martin? To put a bid out for
Just have to put a bid out.
demolition, give those 3 locations, and if it doesn't prove to be, then doesn't prove to be. Can we do that?
Yes.
All right. Let's do that. Code, any more? Bob, your show.
Good morning, Council. Just to give you a few updates on some of the stuff we're working on. Of course, back when we had the rain a couple of weeks ago, we had a big blowout down at 7th Street by our new parking lot. The road department guys are doing some work down there to stabilize that, come up with some good ideas. I think what they're going to do is going to actually help keep that water from cutting that out again. So they're working on that. We're working on various stormwater ditches throughout the city. Stuff that we took notes of that we could go in, dig out, whatever we might need to help, next time we have a big rain, get this water out of the ditches so it's not backing up people's yards. So just ask everybody to be patient, get a lot of calls, and I have all the addresses wrote down, but we're just getting them one at a time. So bear with us, we will work on that ditch. Also on the dredge report, you'll notice after this past weekend, we had a lot of wind. Canal did not close up, and that is a lot of work from Troy and Nick getting that west side dredged out. They are almost completely through with that. We will have that completely done before turtle season starts May 1st, so Hats off to them guys. They have worked really hard to get us where we're at now. All the guys texted and said this weekend they were able to go out and they were really surprised. The canal was wide open, so good work for them. Also wanted to bring up that our QLM program officially ends April the 30th. This Friday will be the end of the Hurricane Michael QLM grant. We had one person left over, and that was Dave Logano. He'll be officially through. The other ones we ended up hiring several months back, who's turned out to be really good. So just wanted to say thank you to Miss Gazelle Devlin. She headed all this up and was a big help getting these people out here, and they've done a lot of work for the city of Mexico Beach, and technically didn't cost us a dime. It was all done through a grant, so I just want to say thank you for that. Other than that, we're just doing our normal summer routines now, grass cutting throughout the city, working on having a lot of algae problems down on the sidewalk at the marina. We're keeping that cleaned off. I guess the water's perking from in the bottom up onto the sidewalk, and then as the algae's growing, went down yesterday, it was really bad. We got all that cleaned off, so we're going to keep a sharp eye on that, especially the snapper season coming up, and don't want anybody get hurt. Other than that, Mayor, that's about everything I got.
Question for you, Tommy. So now that we've got the whole dugout on the west side of the jetty, turtle season, we can't continue to put sand over on the beach?
We can, Mr. Darrell, we can dredge 2 days a week. That's what we're permitted during turtle season. So we will maintain that. Troy said today we're going out this morning, they're going to work on the sandbar, get the sandbar cut wide enough, we don't have any issues there. And they will continue to keep that west side cleaned out, but I think we can only do that like 2 days a week. But it should be sufficient. We should have it now to the point that it'd be easy to control it.
Okay, great.
Hey, Tommy, has Duke ever got back to you on the street lights on the streets? Not the ones burned out, I mean the ones that never got replaced after the hurricane.
Rock, I haven't heard anything. I will touch base with them this week and see where we're at with that. The last time I talked to them, Duke was going back doing a survey prior to the storm, where all the street lights were, to make sure that they got all those back. Somebody had talked to me, I think Mr. David from Dewberry talked to me last week. We have a couple lights that we need to get a hold of Duke to come take out of the ground down past Salt Creek. When they came in, Duke did install the new ones that's on this side of Salt Creek, but those down there, that was all blocked off. The bridge was out. They couldn't get to it. So probably need to get a hold of them to replace the ones that they had on the other side of Salt Creek and remove the 2 poles that are tore up. But I will check on that for you.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Tommy, where are we getting the street lights that are out, getting bulbs replaced?
If you'll let me know which ones are out, I think the Sheriff's Department's helping us with that also. They're doing kind of keeping up with that. We can call Duke and have those taken care of.
Anything else?
Mr. Mario, you going to address the street sign?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, sir. That's all I got.
Okay. What about, I don't see Kevin, but
Kevin said to let y'all know he had an emergency this morning. Somebody was backed over a fire hydrant on North 36th Street, and they're around there working on that now.
okay.
And that's the second fire hydrant in the last 3 months. And the contractors that are doing this are getting back charged for the fire hydrant and all the work that it takes to replace them. So again, they're painted bright red and they don't move very fast.
Okay. David?
Yes, sir. Sunset Park, we are addressing the FDOT comments, mainly concerned with the landscaping along 98. Once we have those addressed, we can submit to the DEP to the portion of this site that's covered under, we have the FDOT on one side and the FDOT or the FDEP over the entire site. So whatever the FDOT agrees on, I got to make sure that DEP agrees on it as well. So we're kind of having to play both sides. It's a little bit of a timing issue, but once we get the DOT comments addressed, and then I can make the submittal to the DEP to make sure everything else is good. And that's kind of where we stand at Sunset. And just for reference, everything seaward of the CCL line, the Coastal Construction Control Line, has to go through FDEP permitting, and that line, basically from 8th Street all the way to Mexico Beach, is on the north side of 98. So just about anything you do along the beach is subject to the DEP permitting.
Another, with due respect, have we not been dealing with that for months?
Oh,
Well, people build a house, they go get a DEP permit inside the CCL line.
the DEP has a 30-day review time, and everything I've been dealing with them so far, I'll submit it, and I won't get a comment till like that 29th day. And then we address it and start over again.
31 days.
Anything else?
On the 15th Street box culvert, the last meeting I told you we had come up with an alternate design, a little bit better situation for the city. We got some pricing back from the contractor. It's about $50,000 higher than if we would have just put it back in as it's currently sitting in the original configuration. They did say the majority of that cost is the dewatering. They've got to block off that water, dewater it, make the repairs, and they have to keep a pump going so they can keep transferring the water across the bridge so it doesn't back up. I'm working with Atkins right now to determine which way they think FEMA, we can get this through FEMA. Because part of the funding is 428, and part of the funding is, what do they call it, straight line, Ryan? Standard. So, looking for some advice from Atkins as far as which way they think they can get this through FEMA for reimbursement and which way we need to go with the design. And then the boat ramp extension, the Army Corps of Engineers issued an REI last Friday, and our environmental sub, Dan Garlick, is meeting with the agencies tomorrow just to discuss the permitting process.
Meaning to put in the extra ramp?
Yes, sir, the extra 3 ramps.
Once we get that approved, then we'll go after a grant to actually build it, because that's a next year's grant.
That'll be that long.
Yes, sir.
Okay, anything for Dewberry? Or what happened, and I'm sorry to be, I don't want this to be pointed at anybody, but what happened to the DEP contract where the fees were waived? That doesn't, this thing of this permitting for a daggone park, just, I mean, we've been talking about Sunset Park for 8 months, all about permitting.
The fees are waived, but it doesn't mean that the permit doesn't. They still go over it like it was the first time it was ever built.
Okay.
Perhaps we should tell them that if they'll waive the permit, we'll pay the fee.
Just getting that very.
Maybe we should, I don't know anymore, that park is just an important part of the rebuild to get our summaries back, make us look, it's just a center of town, it gives us I just never dreamed all the people donated to that, they thought we were gonna have it last Christmas. You remember that?
I know it, they donated.
Donated that money. Okay, I can't fix DEP.
Speaking of that, can we, tomorrow, can we put something out on the website about why that's taking so long, just to make everybody understand that? Because I've had several people, and I don't understand.
Most asked question I have.
Yeah, well, I don't know why.
Now the canal's open.
Yeah, right.
Canal's open.
Okay. I'll put the drawings and let them know.
Yeah, let them know, I mean, some people think, you're not gonna put it back, I mean, and when we say we're talking about it, most people don't understand, no, they don't even hear what David's saying about the process, so. Okay, moving on. All right, we are. First item is resolution 21-17 under our regular agenda items. I think we should, before we even read Can we get a little explanation of what this is?
Yes, sir. So the city, a while back, went after 2 grants with the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation. We're going after a $4 million grant on this grant and a $150,000 grant on this grant. This grant will escalate to up to a $3 million grant, and I'll tell you what the 2 grants are for. This is the master stormwater system that the city has been talking about for a while, where we purchased land off of 15th Street, where we purchased land off of 386, create a master stormwater system, block off the canal going out into the Gulf of Mexico. Again, the Corps of Engineers kicked off a 3-year study. We're a year and a half into the study, and that's what this grant is for. This other grant is the one where we kicked off Dewberry to do the sounding and locating of all the debris that's out in front of our beach. So from the beach itself out to the second sandbar, they're going to sonar that out there and determine everything that's in the ground that can be hauled out. Once that survey work is done, then we'll go after the next phase of the grant, which is to haul out all the pieces and parts that are out there. So to manage this $4.5 million grant, needs some help from Adkins, and Adkins has submitted $69,000 to do that work, and that $69,000 is actually part of this grant application. So the fees to pay Adkins are actually embedded in these grants.
If we don't get the grants, they're still gonna charge a fee, we'd have to pay that fee if we don't get the grants.
Only a portion of it, because again, the $69,000 is to take the grant from beginning to end.
I got you. Good.
Okay. Are there any questions about that before we get into the request for motion to read? Yeah, this is laid dormant or
For a
something.
while, yes, sir.
That's what something else, I really,
They've been doing work without getting paid.
On the stormwater portion of it, how long is that process probably gonna take? Are we gonna have to wait till the Corps of Engineers study is done before we'll know what we can do?
Yes, sir.
So that's another year and a half.
No, sir. That's another 2 or 3 years out.
So I thought we were a year and a half into a 3-year project.
Okay, that's the feasibility study. That's not the engineering, that's not the permitting, that's not the processing. None of this stuff happens quickly. You can watch paint dry. You
But
can't
they
watch
did
this.
dedicate $10 million in their initial presentation, if you would. They set aside $10 million to find out and about not only the study of feasibility. There's just a lot of moving parts and a lot of moving stars got to line up right on the purchase of property. But that doesn't mean it can't happen.
So we did scoping. We scoped all the storm sewer in our town.
That's a completely different animal. Yeah.
But we do know, so that's not any part of what they're doing to re-engineer everything.
This is looking at our canal system and modifying our canal system. This is not a pipe going from one side of the road. This would be, again, looking at how do you move water from one side of the city to the other side of the city.
Okay, so then the scoping part on our storm sewer, where does all that stay?
That's in review with FEMA.
That's in review with FEMA. And that process is probably not far away.
I only need.
Just one quick comment. As this project progresses, people may see their property shown on the map as a location that the city is interested in. At this point, everything I know, the city is not considering eminent domain. That's simply just for concepts. The city might try to do a regular conventional purchase at some point, but at times people, when they see property on a map, they go assume that their property is being taken. They initiate lawsuits. The city's not anywhere near at that point.
And that's typically part of the feasibility study that the board's doing. They'll look at the properties that need to be taken and what the costs are, what the ramifications and things like that. So it's part of the complexity.
Okay, Chair will entertain a motion to read resolution 2117 by title only.
Make a motion to read resolution 21-17 by title only.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any opposition to reading? Tammy, would you please?
Resolution 21-17. A resolution of the City of Mexico Beach, Florida, approving task order number NFWF-001 with Atkins North America Incorporated, Atkins not to exceed $69,512 for professional services for design and permitting and grant administration and technical assistance in maintaining compliance with the requirements of the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation with regard to the NFWF grant for design, permitting, and implementation of wetland restoration and beach dune revegetation activities.
Motion for approval.
Make a motion to approve resolution 21-17.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Mayor Cassie?
Yes.
Mr. Pollak?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Call?
Yes.
Mr. Key?
Yes.
All right, moving number 2, resolution 21-18. Mario again, please.
Now, this is the gas station that is just to the west of the city limits on US 98 north side. They're outside the city limits. I have met with the owners, asked them if they would consider annexing in. They were not interested in annexing in. They need water and sewer service, and this being a business asking for water and sewer service, it's customary for the council to approve or provide direction on how to provide water and sewer to that location. We do have the capability of providing it, but we don't have we can set the parameters under which we provide water and sewer to them.
One other comment, it's fairly common that the city provides water and sewer on the east side of the city, on the Gulf County side of the city, than infrastructures, so they're more readily and can't annex in property that's outside of your own county. This would be only the second connection to your large mains on the west side of the city. You do have one connection for the Sugar Sands development, which is a single connection for, I think, 64 homes. So this particular application will be the first time that anyone's asked you to have a tap for one user for those main lines, and there may be operational issues that staff might want to comment on as far as that.
With Kevin's absence, I'd like to say that one of my concerns with providing sewer on the north side of the road is I know that the big picture of the north side of the road is to have other facilities there of some shape, fashion, or form. And the idea of one tap into that sewer line sounds okay, but the idea of then having 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them outside of our city limits that starts to tap that system weakens that line. So I think it would be wise, however this is done, to potentially require a lift station where all of the future development that goes on the north side of the road flows into a lift station and then provides a single tap into our force main, which is the light exiting the city. The water they would tap into the chlorination system that Sugar Sands has put in on the south side. So they would tap the water in at that location because it provides the extra chlorine that's needed for that development.
More onto the road?
No, again, the chlorinator's on the north side.
Okay, yeah.
So they can connect right there for that.
Now, Sugar Sands, they'll be, after the 64 homes, are there more homes that they're gonna want more?
Oh, yes.
A lot more. So whatever we do, it's gonna reflect what happens later as well.
And we have a contract for Sugar Sands. So this is basically the same thing that we did for Sugar Sands, except now it's for businesses and a different council, so different ideas.
So what is our contract, how is that word on theirs? I mean, roughly.
Sugar Sands contract is limited to those 64 lots. I mean, we anticipate that the developers that are involved are going to have more projects that they're working on, but that actual contract is for the one subdivision on the south side of the road.
So whenever they get ready for more, it's another contract and we have to
Most likely.
design that contract.
When was that contract? The date?
2017, I think.
Well, I don't remember.
Before the
It was pre-hurricane because
Okay.
the good bit of that system was installed and it flooded.
I just know I wasn't when I was here, so I just.
And your city code does say that connections are not required outside the city, and that service is available when the city is willing and able to serve. So you've built in discretion in your own code to evaluate each case on its merits. And I've reviewed various documents and contracts and your ordinances, and I don't see anything that mandates you to provide service.
So we could require them to annex onto the city to get our sewage and water.
You could, and if they said no, they may explore the possibility of a well, a septic tank. I don't know if that's available. It's unincorporated Bay County. At some point, I think the public has a perception that the city serves that area. At some point, somebody will probably dispute this and challenge this, but I don't know when that would be and what this particular owner's intention would be.
Well, I feel like this service station convenience store, whatever, the city is going to provide at least 75% of their business. Either people living here, or people coming here, or people leaving here. I feel like they need to annex on. That's me.
Are the owners local or no?
Corporation.
George,
Bang.
watch got it out
Yeah.
there. Just a minute, we'll stay where we are. Well, here's my take. We requested annexation. We discussed it prior to this coming here. And historically, this city operates off of an ad valorem tax revenue producing property. We're the only city in Bay County. We're probably 83 to 88% of our annual budget, general fund budget, is derived from ad valorem tax. If we trade our commodities such as water and sewer at a 25% increase and a substitute for a millage rate, I don't feel like we're being financially responsible to our citizens that are paying city taxes. And there's not a person in this room, there's not a business in this city that would not gladly trade their 8 meals on their tax bill for a 25% increase in their water and sewer bill. And we can't change sugar sands, and that's not really part of the discussion here today. But if we're going to keep our city financially, we're supportive of the things that the general fund can do. That 25% extra money in the water and sewer fund, they're dedicated funds. They're enterprise funds. They're not operating funds for this city. So I think it would be a terrible mistake to furnish them water and sewer without annexation. Because it's just, we know what St. Joe's planning, they annexed in. And when I got word that they were concerned about the fact that what it would cost them from a city tax standpoint, that didn't sit well. Bobby made a great point. This city's going to support that business. And so I'm totally against giving them water and sewer without annexation.
Agree. I would like to throw something else in there too while we were talking about it. And I told Nick I was going to get with him if our minutes went out before the meeting. Why don't we move and to keep this from happening in the future? And I really need to talk. Why don't we move our city limits higher, and this won't happen? Or get to where we going, it will be in the city, and they have to get them.
Well, moving the sign doesn't,
Well, annex, I reckon I'm trying to say, let's move our city limit sign where they'll be in it.
I did do a preliminary review of that while we were getting started, and the reason why I didn't know this right off the top of my head is it's unusual to do an involuntary annexation in this area of the state. But everything I found so far would still require the consent at least of some of the owners. I don't see any process so far, and I'll look further. But I don't see a process where you can just completely force the issue.
Of annexation.
Of annexation. And I'm not talking about in the context of utility service. I just mean in general.
in general.
If you wanted to double the size of the city, the processes are reviewed. They involve if there are people living there, you have a vote of people living there. If there aren't people living there, but it's just property owners, you still have to have consent of half of those property owners. But I don't see a process to completely force the issue. We also may have some interesting conversations with Bay County depending on what their preferences are.
My opinion, though, just by this right here, I think we need to, if we look at it in the future, is that we're going to have this every time? I mean, if somebody going to come before us without, so why don't we go ahead and, but I don't know enough about to be talking, so I'm going to just wait through. I'm for probably getting a workshop or putting it on the agenda until I find out more about it, too. But I don't want to have annexing the city. I would agree with Bobby and Al.
So, how far is it from to the actual Tyndall Air Force Base starts on that side? How much more property would we be potentially talking about? Does anybody know? How far?
They own it all the way to East Bay. I mean, it's going north.
East St. Joe.
No.
You mean the Air Force Base?
Oh, I'm talking about these people.
Oh.
Not this land only, not this, but the sugar sands, or it's really called, Farmdale Development. There's more on the north side of the road. That's correct. That runs, I'm not sure it touches East Bay, but it's pretty far back. If you're talking about going west down to the Tyndall line, it's not.
A quarter of a mile.
Yeah, it's not much.
But it goes north.
North a long way.
Yeah, all the way back, and then south. Is that so?
South it touches St. Joe. And I'm not sure it touches, but it's, I don't know why.
It may border Desiree Ranch. But again, let's say there's 200 acres, just rough figures. Yeah.
I don't check it.
What else would you do? I mean, what else would you do other than the option of annexing to make them pay a share? Is there anything creative that we can do and begin and create that makes those kinds of people have to pay a share that makes it worth us doing it?
25 cents most you can get.
Really?
The state statute limits it to 25% for outside.
That's right. And just for added context, I'm double checking, but there's the land that's right along Highway 98 from Tyndall Air Force Base coming toward the city where we already have some St. Joe property annexed in. There's just a single property owner plus this gas station parcel that's.
It's narrow right there on the highway, and then it sort of pies out.
It may vary as you go north and south, but as far as the highway frontage, it's just a single owner.
So short of them doing all the property that may be 200 acres or whatever it is, of doing their own water system and sewer system, which that's probably big enough to do. I don't know.
On the northern portions of this land, not this gas station parcel, but the bigger parcels, we already know that they've been going through different planning processes with Bay County, so they're working on something as far as a long-term development plan for that property. But The gas station piece is separate, it's owned separately, it's small, it's not part of the full development plan.
Yeah, the only thing we could require with what we're talking about right now is strictly for the gas station. Reaching outside of that would be a whole different, but again, along the same lines.
But if we start it, that's what we're going to do. For me, I'm gonna check and see about this, annexing into it. I know that's 200 acres, but this city needs the revenue, and I really believe that we need to check. I'm gonna get with Nick and see, but I know he said there's a process, but I think we need to start the process with Bank County, whoever we got to start with.
What we need to remember too, the more we tap before it gets to us, we've got to have some, or I feel we have to have some due diligence for those of us that are here. And when we start, as long as they involve ourselves in the city, then they're part of the planning process of the growth of the town. And we know that that's out there, we know what's happening, and I think we're foolish to just roll over and say, okay, well, you don't want to annex, so that's okay. I don't think we ought to do that. I don't know how we ask them, I don't know how forceful we ask them, I don't know what their response was, I don't know any of that. I didn't sit, I haven't talked to these people. But if we said, hey, we want you to annex, nah, I really don't want to do that. So then they come back with this, well then I think we just need to be more forceful and say, look, we just.
I could go back to them and say the only way to get water and sewer from the city is to annex.
Well, I think that's fixing to happen in just a minute.
Yeah, I'm not sure there's a way to end the annexation, but they'll have difficult decisions to make when if they get an eye on the water and sewers. I misspoke also. There's one more parcel on the south side of the road that I thought was part of Sugar Sands, but you're not talking about a lot of parcels.
Okay, further discussion or any other comments on the request for water sewer outside service area at 5300 East Highway 98? What you got?
I would just like to say, as a citizen, I totally agree with you. Go figure. But we.
That is hard to do.
I know. We do not need to give away our resources to people who are outside the city limits, who are not going to be paying the same thing as the rest of us do. And we need to take great care in how we proceed with these developments that are on that side of town. And so y'all are thinking in the right direction. Please keep going down that road.
All right. Is there a motion or discussion?
I would say we need to have a motion to read by title only, and then we decide if we want to deny it or approve it, right?
Do it.
Make a motion to read resolution 2118 by title only.
Second.
Wait a minute. You can do either.
You can do it.
You can vote just not to read it, not proceed, or you could do it by second. Either way.
Okay. All right. Motion on the floor. Did I hear a second?
Yes.
Okay.
Resolution 21.
First of all, is there any objections to reading? I object to reading.
I do too.
Well, I'm gonna get it ready so we can deny it.
I was gonna, okay. We're gonna do it either way. All right. There's two objections to reading, but there's three okay, so go ahead.
Resolution 21-18, a resolution of the City of Mexico Beach, Florida, approving utility service outside the city limits to 5300 East Highway 98.
Is there a motion for approval?
I make a motion we deny resolution 21-18.
Okay. There's a second.
I second.
Motion is second. Call the roll.
Mayor Kathy,
Yes.
Mr. Pollock,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Ms. Call,
Yes.
Mr. Key.
Yes.
Okay, so this then becomes, we just stand by and see what we get, right? You respond to
Do
them?
we want to give them a condition to annex? Or do I just tell them that they're denied and that's it?
That's the whole, that wasn't part of the motion, but I think the discussion has been prior to even this coming here. We voted at one point, I think if the record would go back, that annexation, when this was first brought to us, we may not have voted, but it was clearly this council's direction that we were seeking the annexation.
And if they're annexed, then the city's got to find a way to serve. That's
Excuse me?
the city will have to find a way to serve
Sure.
their utilities. So that's a logical
Absolutely.
conclusion.
Absolutely. But it's no different than any other development. I mean, you know, when it comes to the requirements to tap the line and all, I mean, all the things that are, but that doesn't, but yes, annexation doesn't, now let's talk about that.
And it's not a greedy thing that we're doing, it's
No,
just good common sense. We would not be doing a good job for our citizens if we allowed it to happen without any.
But if they annex in, no different than what St. Joe's doing or what Sugar Sands did, even though they didn't annex in, the infrastructure is on the development.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, just to make sure I mean, there's no bargaining chips here. Is my
No,
point.
no, again, annexation, they would submit their drawings.
Just like
just
anyone
any
else
other
would do.
commercial.
That's right.
They already have land use.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah.
Do we need to give more
Well,
consent to, off
do you
annexation?
need more than you got already?
We've talked about annexation clear enough that I can clearly tell them that annexation is required.
We good with that? Everybody good?
Good.
Nick, you good?
Yeah. Each one.
That's right. All right, moving on. Number 3. City of Mexico Beach Resolution 2119. I don't know about that. Somebody help me.
This is an interlocal agreement between the county and all the cities. It's basically to provide the 800 megahertz communication system. It's what that temporary tower is all about. It's what the permanent tower will be all about in the background. And this is something that has been going on for quite a while. All the cities are executing this agreement, and there are some stipulations on costs that we will have. It's annual cost to be part of that system. It's been developed into our budget. I can't tell you what that dollar figure is right off the bat, but it's to tie into that system. So that the sheriff's office and the fire departments and all the police departments can all communicate with a 21st century system.
Motion to read by title only.
I make a motion to read Resolution 21-19, the title only.
Second.
The opposition. Please read.
Resolution 21-19, a resolution of the City of Mexico Beach, Florida, approving interlocal agreement 800 megahertz communication system.
Motion for adoption.
Motion to adopt Resolution 21-19.
Second.
Motion second. Call the roll, please.
Mayor Kathy?
Yes.
Mr. Pollak?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Call?
Yes.
Mr. Key?
Yes.
All right, and number 4 is 2120. What we got happening here?
Mayor, we submitted that and we got 0 responses, so we'll
That's
serve.
why all the blanks are there. That's it.
We had hoped that we could fill in the blanks on Friday, but nobody submitted anything. I understand that Jerry has talked to Gulf County and looked at who provided quotes over there. We're going to physically reach out to some of the people that have provided, as opposed to just going out through the RFP process. But we have to reinitiate an RFP and then solicit from those individuals.
I want to make a suggestion. Call Bob Michael. County has a sign shop. Ask him what the charge for making that.
We got it back. Me and Tommy's been working on it all day yesterday, trying to get.
This bid thing is, I mean, at this point,
We got half the time, but I found out that we got 4 people that's supposed to be back in touch with us here. But we got Gulf County, and we got Bay County.
I don't think Gulf County, they don't have a.
But they got it. They do
They
it.
farm it out. Bay County's got their own sign shop.
But Tommy, he's in touch with that man. And we turned into and trying to get some.
If we can get them from Bay County,
See what Bob take. I bet you, see what they can do to help us out with some kind of fee thing, and
You got a number?
at this point,
If you can provide it for just.
or either
his
call
cost.
Art Flash and tell them.
I'm telling you, Tommy, you got his number for, Al Thompson?
Which one?
Who you talking about, Al?
Bob Michael, county manager, Mario does.
Yeah, I've got a good
Just
relationship.
based
with
on
Bob.
Bob, and let's just see if he even thinks it's worth pursuing.
Okay, we'll do.
And let's try to find, here we have a little thing at the store, we cut up some cheap plywood.
This right here is the canal, and then this guy who is good. You think the canal, Tommy got the canal answers, where am I at? So we need to get on this, if we have to call a special meeting or something, get this thing done.
Okay, so we just finished that with it.
And with nothing to it.
All right, Mr. Turner, help, what you got?
Nothing except that I do anticipate bringing special master options to you to decide either next meeting or if we get good feedback, possibly sooner in a special meeting.
Okay. Mario, you're up.
Yes, sir. On June the 11th and the 12th, we have the Golly Whopper fishing tournament. That special permit is being circulated through staff right now, just giving everybody a heads up. The New Mexico Beach Artificial Reef Association donated 10 signs. You can look at one of those signs that's been installed on, I think it's 8th Street. That sign has been installed. Please take a look at it. We installed it vertically. Mr. Cox sent over a photograph of some other location, Walton County, that installed it horizontally. I personally don't think that horizontally works as well because you've got to be able to stand over top of it and look at it. Little kids won't be able to see it. It's going to get very, very, very hot. Somebody's going to try to sit on it. Those are my personal beliefs. I kind of sort of like it vertical because it's also in the shade 50% of the day and it's pointed to the west so it doesn't get the sun beating on it day in, day out. Please take a look at it. If you have an opinion, please let me know. We put out an RFQ for Lime Rock to fill the balance of the boat ramp area. So that's out. We hope to get those bids in by the middle of next week so that we can get it approved by council for the next meeting. I got a complaint about the tannic water going out of 8th Street, and there's absolutely nothing that we can do about the tannic water going out of 8th Street. It's part of the drainage for the city, and it is natural. It is not particularly dirty water unless people are fertilizing their yards and it's going into that system. But there's nothing in particular we can do about it. We had a good pre-dredging meeting with our contractor and our engineers. We are looking at kicking off this project August timeframe. We did receive the Fish and Wildlife's order on snapper season. Officially is June 1st through July 24th. They always extend a little bit here and there, but basically they would start on August if we get DEP's approval by August. I don't want to hold my breath on that. One of the good things that came out of that is they feel that most of the sand south of the canal system should be clean sand that they will put on borrow site number 1. Their price includes, and FEMA's payment includes hauling that sand off and disposing of it in Bluntstown, I believe. If we were to use that sand on the police and fire station, if we were to use that sand at Sunset Park, it will save us money on both of those projects. So we're currently trying to make sure that we can do those things. They said they wouldn't charge us any more than they would have charged us to do it anyplace else. So again, if it gets paid in that pot, we won't have to spend it in these other 2 pots. But we have to get approval on that. And that is it for my list.
Sharon, you have anything? A question, first of all, for anybody on?
That's pretty, man. That sign's pretty, man. They did a good job.
Who's the sign is, so
Yeah, that's
I don't see anything wrong with that for
But it's really a nice sign.
It sure
Spend
is.
some money. man.
Very, very well
$1,000
done.
per sign.
We need to find that.
$1,000 per
I
sign.
wouldn't doubt. That thing's colorful now.
That's nice.
All right, any questions for Mark? Sharon, you have anything?
I just wanted to say how good beaches are looking since all the landscaping going on. Like I said, they got the sod truck out there on the beach this morning. Where they're gonna sod that, keep from the road in here next to the road. I think this just it really is.
Darryl, what about you?
I'm good.
Lyle?
I'm good.
I've got a couple of things.
Get it.
Get it. I do want to thank the sheriff officer. I was out of town. That furniture come in, and only people I know, Darryl was out of town. Anybody that had a strong back was our sheriff's department. So I want to tell him thank you.
He left.
No, he didn't.
Oh, yeah,
He
yeah.
was fine about it. But I want to tell this man that was my wife. She was so worried about somebody going to steal her furniture, and I said, "Ah." But I want to tell him thank you. I want to tell all these men. And we do have a new lady that works in our office, and I want to welcome her aboard.
That's right.
And I think you'll be a good fit.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that very much.
And
Glad to be here.
I'm glad to get. And the next thing is the canal. As we speak now, we are driving pilots. And I talked to the man that's doing it, and he ought to be, don't quote him, but anyway, I hate anything could happen, but he's going to be pretty quickly, he'll be through. And I asked him, if he's got 10 done, could we get 5 or 6 or 7, 8 of them and let us be renting them out? And I talked to John Lee, and John Lee said, yes, he had a bunch of people waiting in line, and our water, John Lee asked if we would turn the water back on, because they had turned the water off. So if y'all don't mind, Mario or whoever, it's on, never mind. Tommy doesn't handle that for me. So if council didn't mind, or Mario, or I know how it is like this, I think we need to rent these things out, get us a little income coming in, because snapper season is coming. And I appreciate the rock. Mario come get the rock so we can park more vehicles. And with David, I think we got not a blueprint, but we can park 92 cars. And that's more than what we had. I appreciate everybody that's jumped in there and helped us. Kathy, Miss Lyons, she helped me out a lot. So anyway, that's all I got. I appreciate the city. If we're doing a good job, let's just keep up what we're doing.
We still gonna have to be there to designate where people park.
Yes. We're gonna be in. And when I say yes, Bob, the main thing there is I think we can train the way David's got it lined out now. We don't have to do it. And another reason is we won't sell our parking tickets, our parking passes, or whatever. And Kathy don't mind. She ain't gonna be that far.
Launch passes.
Launch passes like I am, but Tommy's gonna give us a tent, some tables, and chairs, and we can sell launch passes, and that'll help with the revenue coming.
All right.
When the dredge starts, one of the things that came out of that meeting is we have to have hold harmless agreement signed by all of the landowners that are on the land side, because we're going to be doing work in and around their piles, in and around their roof, in and around their lifts. So everyone that wants the canal dredged adjacent to their property, if they've got improvements, will need to sign this hold harmless. Within that hold harmless, once the contractor gets on board and we get a release and everything, they will give me a weekly schedule of, they'll be doing 32nd Street this week. We will need a place for all the people that are on 32nd Street to store their boats. I had hoped to have our marina available to store the boats. For what it's worth.
They'll find a place to put that boat.
No worries out there.
That won't be a problem.
Are they gonna dredge under where the boat lifts are as well?
Yes.
Adjacent just means, that means, next to it means under their,
They will be dredging all the way up to the seawall.
okay, under their boat lift.
Each person will have to sign hold harmless.
I don't think you have a problem with them signing that.
Only thing I have is, I want to once again, I don't know if it's Nick or Mario, but we have discussed multiple times about taking in the 15th Street Catholic Church property into the city. And I would appreciate it if, I don't know that process, but it's an enclave according to, or word that was used that makes it different from a potential involuntary. So is that something that we can you put that on the list?
Yes.
So like going from the county to the city, but in this.
Yes,
this county.
we need to annex that property.
Okay.
What we were hoping to do on that, there's a process that's simplified, and the county will go along with it, where it's just an interlocal agreement between the city and the county. I prepared a draft for that. As I was preparing it, though, I heard from multiple other cities that the county is almost certainly not going to approve it. So I think we may have more information on that. But as far as a different process,
Our county, Bay County would not approve it.
I haven't had contact with them, but I do know that they have declined other cities' requests.
Involuntary annexations, they're not a big proponent.
So
Well, what do we need to do? Contact Rob Bennett with Catholic Church to send him a letter.
there's a different process. The county won't participate to annex an enclave. We'll dig into that, because it sounds like the county may confirm with tomorrow that it wouldn't be a viable option.
Well, let's do this. I furnished you with Rob Bennett's information. I don't know if you still have it.
I have it, he just doesn't return my call. But
Well, and
I'll-
you're right,
and I-
it takes him a while. But if we send him a letter, whatever, I mean, what is then if we already know the county's not gonna do it,
There's a different process. Like you said, this is an enclave, so it's not like just expanding the city westward. We'll review it this afternoon.
Okay.
And see what the steps are.
well, I'd like to see us pursue that. Anybody else? Motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Thank you. Thank everyone for coming.